Nigeria weddings can cost between 9,460 to over $13,000, with guest list matching the supersized budget. This is according to a market research group, TNS Global. A prominent wedding planner, Funke Bokno, tells an American media that you can have 5 million naira at one end of the spectrum, 20 million naira in the middle, and it can even get as high as 100 million naira. When the son of one of Africa's richest women, Folorunsho Alakija, got married in June of 2017, he had a lavish $6 million wedding at the prestigious Blenheim Palace in the United Kingdom. A UK media reported that the ceremony featured 1 million roses by celebrity florist Jeff Litham, a 12-feet tall cake, and a performance by American artist Robin Thicke in the $43,000 venue. There are many mistakes that always happen in weddings that we see every single week. And today we are focusing on discussing what those mistakes that are done in weddings that we possibly ignore.
One of the major mistakes that is done in wedding is pleasing people in wedding preparations. When we are trying to prepare for a wedding, we look at the way we can please people because we want to get wedded. Example like the dresses. We put on very expensive dresses. Both the groom and the bride put on very expensive dresses. They went extra mile to rent very expensive halls to hold events like Mother's Night, all those reception, brides to be, all these events being held in expensive places, putting various preparation settings for all those events. We try to please people, and who cares? And also we try to compare our wedding with that of others. I have been hearing about expensive wedding, but till date I haven't heard about the most expensive wedding because it's changed. So no matter how you try to please people by having expensive weddings, there are other people that had more expensive wedding than yours. So it's better you keep pleasing people off your wedding planning.
And also, there is another mistake of doing haram activities in our weddings. Many a times, we intend to have our wedding to be a moment where we can start a very good union. But instead of beginning it with a good union, we eventually fall into the trap of making our wedding a start of something bad. We end up bringing free mixing into our marriages, where we have men and women just coming up together, dancing, and even very loud music to do things that are not really halal to be done at all. And many people even go as far as inviting a musician to come and do a big party for that purpose. And God forbid, some people even go to the extent of doing their nights called groom's night or something like that, and where basically the groom is being said you're living the bachelor's life into a married life, so you will not have any freedom, and as such you should do every evil thing that you can actually do now before you get into the marriage. This is a very terrible thing for any person who is a Muslim, for that matter, to get involved with. And we are not even speaking about the dressing inappropriately either for the groom or even the bride. Most especially, we find this with the bride, but also we have grooms that could also dress inappropriately. You are starting a very, very big phase of your life, and it will be good if you will start it with lots of blessings attached to it by taking off completely haram activities from the list of what you're doing, and that will help to build a very good platform for you and your unborn children as well.
And another mistake couples make during wedding is not performing Salah on time. Salah is one of the obligations upon us as a Muslim. So we have to consider, once it's time for Salah, we observe our Salah. We shouldn't, because of the makeup we put on, I'm talking about the bride, because we put on a very heavy makeup, so for that reason let me just postpone my Salah because I cannot wash off this makeup on my face. That is not an excuse. And also because of the crowd, okay, I have many guests I needed to attend to. For this reason, I cannot pray my salah on time. No, you don't have any reason to postpone your salah. Once it's time for salah, get up, pray your salah, and renew your makeup if need be. So it is very important we don't keep salah till midnight before we come to pray our salah just because of the crowd. Don't forget, you are trying to complete the half of your deen. So it should start from the wedding.
Also, we have situation where people neglect dua. Literally in Islam, we are advised to always raise up our hands and make dua to Allah for literally anything. Even if it means you want to wear your shoe, you could advise to even make dua for Allah to help you to do that. Now, what about something that is as important as starting a new phase of your life? Isn't it worth it to start with dua in this regard? Making sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it easy for you, making sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah and blessings in it, making sure that it goes completely successful. We know there are some marriages, you go to some sites in Nigeria and then you end up seeing that the entire community will be against the marriage, or you will see in some instances the youth of the community will come to try and take away like the beauty within the marriage by causing trouble. So making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make sure that everything goes well. You also have a haram-free event goes a long way for you as well, because you can't do it alone. You also need the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in making sure that all of this comes to fruition.
Another thing we try to look into as part of the mistakes that we do in wedding is extravagance. We try to hold a very expensive wedding, spending more than we can afford, receiving our guests in an expensive hotel. Remember, Allah doesn't like extravagance. In Islam, it is advised that we become moderate in whatever we do. Moderation is key. So rather than holding a very expensive and extravagant wedding, why not make it moderate to avoid the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
You know, another thing that also comes to mind when we talk about expensive extravagance is going beyond limits in what you are able to, in capacity you can make, right?
Yes.
So the extravagance in the case of Dangote will not be the extravagance in the case of somebody who is a messenger in an office, for example. So we all know the limits we can go, and then it's very key for us not to go beyond those limits, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has always mentioned in the Quran that He doesn't like those who are extravagant. Tied to the extravagance is what we also see today, where people go as far as collecting debts just so that they can run the marriage itself. You see people going to collect loans. You know, we have to understand that your wedding is not really an investment. So if you put it like collecting the loan and you have to pay back, which is not bringing out anything because you're only going to spend, but there's nothing coming back into your account. You shouldn't also believe that people who come and spray you money will eventually give you a large sum of money that will allow you to pay back a loan. It is not just possible. In many instances, it never even happens. So at all times, we need to find in our heart that thinking of paying the debt is not worth the effort of us going to borrow the debt, number one. Number two is that we shouldn't also take debt to start our life. There's a lot of economic challenges that will happen in the nearest future in your life as a married man. So starting your marriage with taking debt will make you to have a very, very difficult and miserable life, because your entire energy will be focused now on how are you going to pay back that debt, and then you are talking about how you're going to feed your wife, and God helps you, you are blessed with baby at the early point, that is your wife is pregnant and you have to take care of her antenatal and stuff like
expenses.
that. It becomes so much for you to handle that you start feeling like, what am I really going to do in this situation? So in order to stop all of that, you try your best to see that you don't collect the debts.
Another mistakes we make in wedding is allowing family members to decide how we are going to hold our wedding. That is bringing expensive stuff to join our budgets, then bringing other stuff. Okay, you need to do this, you need to do that. Or another aspect of allowing family members to decide wedding for you is when they tend to bring things that are haram. Me and you knows that they are not okay, because we know what we are trying to put ourselves into. We know where we are heading to, which is the marriage. So we can sit them down, discuss with them how we really want our wedding to take place, so that they will get the clearer picture and not contribute both in haram ways or bringing more expenses into the wedding more than we can afford.
And also something that always comes to mind is people don't make preparations for accommodation of their bridesmaids. So they could end up bringing the amaria or the bride into the house, and the bridesmaids or the friends of the bride will sleep in the house where the husband is supposed to meet his bride. So it's always important that if you intend to have them come, then you could have an accommodation for them such that when they bring you to your husband, they can have another place to stay instead of making your husband stay in a different place while the bridesmaids also stay in his own house or your house and his own house as well. Depending on all that, you have to also make preparations for all of this. These are some of the mistakes that we have been able to put together that people always make in marriage. There may be things that we have also missed along the way, but we always want you to remember that one of the things that you should never ever do when you're preparing for your wedding, the major mistakes which we have started this with, is pleasing people. You can never ever please people. So it is always important that you look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased with and make your wedding a moment for you to be in obedience to God and a moment of worship to God Almighty by keeping to His commands that He has asked you to do. Thank you very much for listening to us. We'll be happy if you can comment on some of the mistakes that we missed, and please don't forget to subscribe, make your comments, share with others so that they can also benefit from this. And also for anybody you know who is about to get married or is preparing to get married, making plans. So from me, it is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and I'll see you in the next episode. From you?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.